Haven't solved him yet. Reacher Season 3 fully dispels a common misconception about Alan Ritchson's character. Alan Ritchson's character utters a line of dialogue in Reacher Season 3, Episode 5, SmackDown, that gives a surprising amount of insight into one of his lesser-known traits. Although Reacher is often perceived to be a very specific type of character, his statement in SmackDown disproves that he fully belongs to a particular archetype. It's a subtle reveal, but one that's vital to understanding what Jack Reacher is all about. Amazon has chosen 2003's Persuader from Lee Child's huge catalog of Jack Reacher books to adapt for Reacher Season 3. Although the events of other novels may have happened since the end of Reacher Season 2, it's tricky to prove whether that's the case. Regardless, Ritchson's return to lead the Reacher Season 3 cast makes him one of the only actors to come back to the show as the adaptation's semi-anthological approach continues. This time out, Reacher is in a very different situation. Reacher telling Richard he hasn't solved Polly yet proves Ritchson's character doesn't always resort to his physical strength. When Johnny Berchtold's Richard Beck accuses Reacher of being scared of Polly Olivia Richter's in SmackDown, Ritchson's character briefly looks a blend of angry and offended before saying, "I'm not afraid of him, I just haven't solved him yet." Reacher's confidence that he can ultimately beat any enemy in a fight brings to the surface his incredibly tactical mind, and reaffirms the fact he often fights intelligently rather than having to rely solely on his considerable brute strength. What he's really saying to Richard is that once he inevitably figures out Polly's weakness, he'll beat him. Therefore, no fear required. Richard and Reacher's exchange in SmackDown isn't the only recent example of how Ritchson's character uses all the available information and resources to his advantage. There have been a few moments in Season 3 where Reacher has given voice to his stream of consciousness about exactly what will happen in specific scenarios based on projections, character motivations, statistics, and more. Sure, he has also solved several problems with violence too, but it's just one option in his vast bag of tricks. It just so happens that Reacher's physical prowess is also often the most effective solution. Polly is the physically superior threat that Reacher hadn't yet come up against, which makes for unpredictable storytelling. However, in true Reacher style, he's already teased his eventual victory over Polly with that clever trick in the weight room. That being said, Reacher being floored after a single blow from Polly serves as evidence that fighting smart and not hard will be key to Ritchson's character, leaving their coming clash alive. With Reacher Season 4 already confirmed, it's pretty much certain that Polly will lose, but watching their fight will be very interesting. Since its explosive debut, Reacher has barreled onto screens like a freight train, no breaks, no apologies. But it wasn't until Season 3 that Amazon Prime Video's hit series, led by the titanic presence of Alan Ritchson, finally shattered one of the biggest misconceptions surrounding the character of Jack Reacher, that he's just a blunt force instrument in boots. The towering ex-military policeman, often seen as a muscle-bound enforcer with a knack for breaking bones and solving crimes, has long been misunderstood. But Season 3 changes that narrative, not by softening Reacher's edge, but by revealing the layers beneath the leather-tough surface. For years, fans of Lee Child's novels have known what the show only recently started showing in earnest. Reacher isn't just a battering ram, he's a chess master, a philosopher, and a ghost in the system. And in Season 3, through Ritchson's nuanced performance, that truth is undeniable. "Ash haven't solved him yet" isn't just a catchy tagline, it's a statement of intent. Jack Reacher is more than you think. The Bruiser label, earned but incomplete, let's be fair. It's easy to see why casual viewers might initially peg Reacher as little more than a walking, talking wrecking ball. From the opening episodes of Season 1, Ritchson's portrayal brought an intense physicality that instantly separated him from Tom Cruise's take on the role. Ritchson is Reacher in a way that few book-to-screen castings have ever achieved. He's massive. He's intimidating. He doesn't blink when fists fly. But therein lies the trap. We equate brawn with simplicity. It's a disservice not just to the character, but to Ritchson, whose performance is quietly intelligent even when Reacher isn't speaking, which, let's be honest, is often. Fans of the novels knew this Reacher wasn't merely muscle. They've read his internal calculations, his philosophical musings, and his razor-sharp memory. It took 3 seasons for the show to fully embrace that, but the payoff was worth the wait. Season 3, Reacher the Strategist emerges. This season, adapting Persuader, one of the darker, more psychologically rich entries in the Reacher canon, finally puts the spotlight on his intellect and emotional depth. From the opening moments, it's clear this isn't just another string of bar fights and quippy takedowns. Reacher goes undercover, faking his own death to infiltrate a criminal organization. That setup alone requires more than just brawn. It demands subtlety, calculation, and the kind of mental endurance that even elite operatives would envy. Ritchson's Reacher is methodical, patient, and even deceptive when needed, and not in a way that breaks character, but rather deepens it. Whether he's playing a long con on a cartel boss or subtly analyzing a suspect's body language, we see a side of Reacher that goes far beyond his fists. He's not just playing the game, he's 4 moves ahead. Silence isn't stupidity. One of the smartest decisions Season 3 makes is weaponizing silence. Reacher has always been a man of few words, but in earlier seasons, that minimalism was often played for deadpan humor or intimidation. In Season 3, silence becomes something else entirely, a reflection of his interior life. Watch any scene in which Reacher sizes someone up. Ritchson gives nothing away, yet the tension hums in the air. His stillness becomes strategy. His eyes, often downcast or just barely narrowed, suggest a mind working at high velocity. There's a still intelligence in those moments that makes the eventual action feel like punctuation, not plot. It's a powerful counter to the misconception that Reacher is just a one-man SWAT team. He's more Sherlock Holmes than John Wick, but you wouldn't want to meet either in a dark alley. Vulnerability isn't weakness. Perhaps the most unexpected shift in Season 3 is how it peels back the armor to expose the man beneath. Reacher doesn't cry. He doesn't monologue about pain. But through subtle gestures and moments of quiet reflection, we see the wear of years gone by. The burden of always being the one to walk away. The loneliness of a nomad who never truly unpacks, emotionally or physically. It's here that Ritchson shines brightest. His Reacher doesn't change fundamentally. He's still the drifter, the enforcer, the judge, jury, executioner. But he carries more weight in his silence now. He looks at people a beat longer. He hesitates before walking away. That emotional restraint, drawn directly from the books, finally makes it to the screen, and it's far more powerful than 1,000 quips. Dispelling the myth, cementing the legacy, with Season 3, Reacher doesn't reinvent its hero, it reveals him. And in doing so, it erases the long-held belief that Jack Reacher is just a big guy with a badge and a right hook. The show finally trusts its audience enough to show us the depth fans of the books have always known was there. Reacher isn't salt, and maybe that's the point. He's meant to be an enigma, a force of nature wrapped in mystery, calculation, and yes, violence. But now he's also a thinker, a tactician, a man with a code that goes beyond break bad guys. Alan Ritchson, in perhaps his most mature and restrained performance yet, ensures we feel that not through speeches, but through stillness, tension, and the kind of heavy silence that speaks volumes. Reacher has always been smart. Now the show is too. Let